We're here outside Westminster Magistrates Court. The hearing for Richard Barnard, co-founder of Palestine Action, has finished this morning. And I'm here with Huda Amori, the other co-founder of Palestine Action. Can you just describe quickly what happened today and what today was about?
So today was Richard's first hearing, as he's being charged with 3 different offences for 2 speeches given at the end of last year. One of those charges is Section 12(1)(a) of the Terrorism Act for inviting support for proscribed organisation, and 2 of those charges are for encouraging criminal damage, as they say, against Israeli weapons factories. It's important to note that both me and Richard were already charged and unanimously acquitted by a jury of encouraging criminal damage under the Serious Crime Act. So they're basically trying to charge him again for saying the exact same thing that we've already been acquitted for, and they're adding the terrorism charges on top. They've also said today that the starting point for the terrorism offence alone, in terms of sentencing, if convicted, is 3 years in prison, and that the other ones are between, for encouraging criminal damage, are between 1.5 to 4 years, the category range.
We will continue to fight. Nothing will stop us in our fight here. As we see the ongoing genocide day after day, it fills us with more anger and rage to continue our work here. I better stop there. Sorry. I've only given 2 speeches in the last year, and I've been charged 3 times for giving those speeches. Therefore, it's better if somebody else talks, I think.
Can you just talk about how this fits in with the clampdown we're seeing on pro-Palestinian activism in the UK? Because we've had journalists arrested under the same section of the same act recently, Richard Medhurst and Sarah Wilkinson. What do you think is going on here?
The state are obviously trying to wield counter-terrorism powers against pro-Palestine activists and journalists. They're trying to send a message to the rest of the movement by, picking out people to arrest and harass under these charges, and they're trying to say to people to stop speaking up against genocide, and they're trying to control our movement, basically. And also they're trying to divide us by saying that there's certain aspects which are going too far, which fall under terrorism legislation. They're trying to divide those people from the rest of the movement. But I think we've seen a huge pushback against those states' attempts to crack down on us and to divide us. There's been masses of support for Richard Barnard, for Richard Medhurst, for Sarah Wilkinson, and for others charged under this. And they're trying to set a new precedent with these cases. And that's why it's so important to push back at every opportunity we have and to show the state that we're not buying this. And they're cheapening, they're abusing the Counter-Terrorism Act. We also had recently 10 activists from Palestine Action were detained for a week in solitary confinement, interrogated repeatedly, because the state were using the Terrorism Act to detain them without charge. They've since been charged with non-terror offences, but they still remain remanded in prison. How
does this impact Palestine Action? Does it make you go harder, or does it have an impact on your ability to work?
It makes us go harder, 100%. We have 16 political prisoners right now. And for them, we're going to continue the fight on the outside, for the Palestinian political prisoners, for the Palestinians facing Elbit's weaponry. We have never been more determined to shut down Elbit in this country. And also the fact that they're doing this shows that Elbit's days in this country are numbered. And they are really trying to push as far as they can to intimidate us into stopping. And at this point, when we don't stop, we get closer and closer to winning. And I truly believe we are closer than ever to getting rid of Elbit systems. We know they complained to John Woodcock, Israeli-funded lord in this country, that we are having a detrimental impact on this company. That's what the Labour government, the Attorney General, and the counter-terrorism police are doing the bidding of Elbit systems. They're trying to protect Israel's military supply chain over the freedom and rights of its own citizens. And we're not going to stand for it, and we're going to continue to resist, and we're going to get rid of Elbit.
Today in the court, did we learn anything about the case or about the strategy of the government to shut down Palestine Action? Was there any new information?
The main new information was that it was the Attorney General who actually had to consent to these charges, because these speeches were in October last year. He was arrested in November last year. And it's only come about now with the new Labour government who consented to these charges being brought about. They were quite clear that he was calling for direct action against Elbit systems, but they're trying it basically, from my impression, they're trying to make these terrorism charges stick to try and intimidate him. And we also know that they are frustrated that Richard has previously been acquitted. And it's very clear that this is a vindictive, malicious campaign by the state to try and get Richard convicted on something serious. You know, he and myself have faced blackmail charges before by the state. We defeated those. We faced other serious charges, and they're ramping it up. And I don't think they're getting the point. If juries aren't convicting us, then maybe they should stop prosecuting us and start prosecuting the real war criminals.
And just in terms of Richard Barnard's case, so where does it go from here? The hearing today was short, but is there another hearing soon? And what would that hearing be?
Yeah, so the next hearing is going to be on October 4th at the Old Bailey Crown Court. So that's where they've referred it to because of the terrorism charge. So we're calling for people to support us, support Richard outside of the Old Bailey. They can also come into the court and support in the public gallery. And from there, they will lay out the next steps of the trial. So the first plea hearing, where the trial will be, how long it will be. And so the next steps will really be determined at the Old Bailey. And today, the CPS tried to ban Richard or continue his bail conditions to ban him from protests and to make him sign on to a police station regularly. Fortunately, those conditions have been lifted, so he is on unconditional bail for the time being.
What involvement do you think the Israeli state has in the actions that are happening against Palestine Action? Is there any evidence that there's direct link between the cases against Palestine Action activists and the Israelis?
Yeah, 100%. We've uncovered documents last year showing that the Attorney General's office was lobbied by the Israeli government. We know there are regular meetings between Elbit systems, government ministers and the police. And this is all going on behind closed doors. And it's something that we are calling for full transparency on what's going on behind closed doors, because it's clearly politically motivated. And to have a foreign government be able to lobby, the Attorney General in this country is an affront to all of us and our rights. I can't walk into the Attorney General's office and lobby for against these cases that are happening to us. They're not supposed to do cases which are politically motivated. There's not supposed to be political interference in these cases, but clearly we have already exposed that there is, and there's more to come out, I believe, on that front.
How important is it that people come out and support Palestine Action? Because it seems like the government is at odds with the population in terms of its support for the genocide in Gaza and its clampdown on activists who are opposing that genocide. So can you just talk a bit about the importance of people coming out to support Richard, to support the political prisoners that are in jail right now? Because it seems that the government does have to react. For example, with Sarah Wilkinson, after there was quite a lot of publicity about the horrific nature of the raid on her house, they changed the bail conditions because they were embarrassed into it. So silence seems to me to be beneficial to them. So can you talk about the importance of solidarity with Palestine Action and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's extremely important. We had a lot of people come out today. We're really thankful for that. But it's so important because, as you said, when the state can see how much support there is, they back down because they don't want to have to do these things in public. They want to do it behind closed doors or with little publicity. And when there isn't enough eyes or people supporting Palestine Action, that's when they get away with these crackdowns, with the use of this legislation. And I think as well that the state have recently, with the use of counter-terrorism legislation, tried to smear our movement, smear certain aspects of our movement. And the fact that there's been a lot of support has shown that that has failed to work, and that will make the state back down. It really is massively reliant on how much of the public come out to these court cases, support the political prisoners, and show that we understand that these are not the real criminals in this situation.
Thanks a lot, Huda.
If you're watching this video and you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please press the button below. You can also help Declassified do more investigations like this by donating to our work via the Super Thanks button or by joining Declassified from £3 a month. Thanks for watching.